Now let's look at this 12.6, and that is the endocrine system. So the coordination system of the body needs cooperation between these two very important systems, and that is endocrine and also nervous system. And these two systems play an important role in maintaining homeostasis. Now what is homeostasis? We are going to learn in detail in the next chapter. Right, and that is about maintaining the optimum condition of the body so that the cells can function optimally, okay, and all the physiological processes. So even though these two systems, they have different function, they will interact and they will complement each other to regulate and coordinate all the processes and activities in the body. And what is actually endocrine system? It is actually a system that is made up of glands that will secrete chemical substances, which we call it as the hormones. The endocrine glands are ductless glands. So that means these endocrine glands, these hormones will be directly secreted into the blood flow. They don't have their own channel to where the hormones will be flowing. It is through the blood. So even though hormones, they're transported throughout the body in the blood, the hormones only influence and affect specific target cells. And the hormones will bind with the specific molecule receptors of the membrane surface of the target cells to produce specific reactions. So it is still, the response are still very specific. So the endocrine systems of the humans is made up of many glands, and it is affecting the specific physiological processes. So there are three main functions of where the hormones are divided into, and that is reproduction, growth, and also homeostasis. So let's look at this picture. This picture shows the endocrine glands in the endocrine system of the humans, and that is this hypothalamus. This is part of the brain, which is below the thalamus, and we have the master gland, which is the pituitary gland, that is going to affect the other glands. So even pancreas, ovary, and testes also, they are the endocrine glands of the body. Now let's look at the functions of hormones secreted by each endocrine glands. So pituitary gland is the main gland. It is also known as the master gland because it is going to secrete hormones that control the secretion of other endocrine glands. It is located at the bottom of the hypothalamus of the brain. So pituitary gland is made up of two lobes, that is the anterior and also the posterior lobe, and each lobe will secrete hormones that have certain functions. This is the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So this is ADH and also oxytocin. So the ADH, or the antidiuretic hormone, targets the kidney tubule. So this pituitary gland over here is going to secrete these hormones, and it is going to work at the kidney tubule to stimulate the reabsorption of water. Next is this oxytocin, okay, which targets on the uterine muscles and also the mammary glands. And the function for uterine muscles, oxytocin functions to stimulate the contraction of uterine muscles during birth, whereas the mammary glands is to stimulate the production of milk from the mammary gland. Now this is the functions of hormones that are secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, please be clear again. I would like to repeat this, that the pituitary gland is the main gland because it secretes hormones that control the secretion of other endocrine glands. Now back to this anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, we have the LH, luteinizing hormone, we have the GH, growth hormone, ACTH, TSH, and also FSH. So you see over here, these are the targeted tissues, the organs, specific with their specific function over here. Okay, so the hormones that regulates the secretion of other hormones, we call it as the stimulating hormones. So you can see over here, these are the stimulating hormones, like for example, thyroid stimulating hormones and also follicle stimulating hormones. Okay, even the adrenocorticotropic hormone. So this is called the stimulating hormones. Okay, like TSH. But there are also hormones that act directly on the target organs. For example, the growth hormone, oxytocin, and the ADH. So for example, this GH will act directly on the bone to promote growth. So hypothalamus, that is the part of the brain, will secrete this gonadotropin releasing hormone, which will stimulate the pituitary gland to secrete FSH and LH into the blood. So now these are the glands, the functions of the hormones secreted by these glands. Now let's look at this adrenal gland, which is located above the kidney, so it targets the kidney. It increases the reabsorption of salt, and the hormone is adrenaline. Okay, and these are the functions where it will increase the sugar level, fatty acids in the blood, increase the respiratory rate and also heartbeat, as well as the rate of metabolism, and contracts the blood vessels. So over here, this is the pancreas, which secretes insulin, where it will be used in the liver, muscles, and also adipose tissue, and that it will reduce the blood glucose after meal, and to promote the conversion of excess glucose to glycogen to be stored in the liver. So we say that this insulin hormone is able to increase the blood glucose level, and it promotes conversion of glycogen to glucose. So these are the glands. So when you look at the glands, you need to be able to state the hormones that it will secrete, to state the target tissues as well as the functions of these hormones. Now let's look at the role of hormones in humans. We say hormones is actually the chemicals in the bloodstream, and it is going to regulate the activities of organs and tissues. So this is another slides to summarize what is actually endocrine glands, endocrine system, which consists of glands that does not have their own ducts, and that is why it is secreted directly into the bloodstream, is carried throughout the body to the target cells, and it is going to affect certain or specific physiological processes. And we say that the endocrine system complements the nervous system in coordinating the body. So why is it necessary? Let's look at the major glands. We have the master gland, which is the pituitary gland, and we also have the thyroid glands, right? And we have, there's these adrenal glands, pancreas, and also the gonads, where they are the glands that is involved in the reproduction. So why is it necessary? Just now we said that this will then complement the nervous system. Now let's look at the master gland. That is the pituitary gland, and it is controlled by the hypothalamus in the brain, which will secrete several hormones that will directly regulate many body functions, and it is going to control the activities of other endocrine glands. Okay, now there is this pituitary gland. This is the part of the brain which is the hypothalamus that links the nervous and the endocrine system. This is the thyroid gland which produces thyroxine in regulating the metabolism. This is this pancreas ovary which only presents in female testes in male, and these are the respective organs, their respective hormones. And we have the adrenaline, which is the emergency hormone, which is secreted by the adrenal glands. Now this is the function. This is repetition of the earlier slides just now, because there are a lot of hormones that you need to remember, secreted by which gland, the name of the gland, and also their functions. Now, again, let's recall what is metabolism. It refers to all chemical reactions that takes place within an organism by which complex molecules are broken down to produce energy, by which energy is used to build up complex molecules. So to say metabolism process happens within a living organisms in order to maintain life. An example of metabolic reaction is the one that takes place when a person eats a spoonful of sugar. Now here is another table to show the glands, its respective hormones, and also the function. This is the anterior pituitary and also the posterior pituitary with their respective hormones. Now, if you're given a table like this, can you label it? What gland? So this might be the first step of you recognizing the location of the glands and then naming their respective hormones and as well as their function. Alright, then we can stop here.